Hello, it's Rachel here. I am out on a glorious Sunday morning in Upper Hutt. Beautiful, beautiful day, a real good spring day, and I thought I'd take my sign out since I went to all the effort of making it. So I'll show you. Same one that I had for the convention, in case any of my former convention congregation friends here didn't see it. I'm sure most of them did, but they'll probably start coming out from the meeting in about 5 minutes or so. So I thought I'd make a little video, so I haven't made one for a few weeks. Okay, hopefully I can see the screen once I'm out of the bright sun. That's better. Oh, there's a car coming out now. Anyway, so life's been good with me lately. I enjoyed my time protesting at the convention in Wellington at the Te Rauparaha Arena in Poirua. It went as well as could be expected. One day was miserable weather, but I still managed to get my signs out there. Not as much, I didn't get as much like foot traffic past me because of the weather, but the next day on the Sunday was an entirely different story. It was a beautiful day most of the time, and I got a variety of responses and a few positive messages and smiles and waves, that sort of thing. Anyway, following that success, I went down to Christchurch, which is in the South Island of New Zealand, and stayed with my daughter down there. And am I recording? Oh, I am. Thank goodness. She lives within about a 20-minute walk from the venue where they have the convention down there. But the weather again was pretty atrocious for the Friday. But I did manage to walk down there in the later afternoon just to scope out the place and get a firm idea of where I could put my signs during the weekend. And I did manage to go inside and have a look at the convention setup there. Certainly had more attendance than I remember. There were about, well, at least 3 doors going into the main auditorium, and each of them had a couple of attendants there that would kind of open the door for you and that sort of thing. But I managed to get in without any difficulty, and I wrote up very quickly some little cards with the jwsforjustice.co.nz website on them and left them in the ladies' toilets, and there were 3 lots of ladies' toilets, so I left them liberally around there. I don't know, I tried to hide some of them a little bit, but I imagine the first person to find one might have gone through and collected the rest, but I know some of them would have been found, and I did actually sort of like try to drop a few on the floor while they were all leaving, so that while there were crowds of people clogging up the route to the exits, I dropped some on the ground, and they would have been picked up by somebody, so hopefully some of them got read or piqued a little interest. Also, I noticed on Facebook their local news, I can't remember, one of the news agencies had a Facebook page and they had a little article about the convention, and they said they were expecting about 3,000, and it was an international convention. And I thought, gosh, that's not really a very big number considering it's the only convention for the entire South Island of New Zealand, unless they've decided to send some of them, perhaps from the northern part of the South Island, to the Wellington Convention, because I did overhear people talking at the one that I went to in Poirua, which is the Wellington Convention, that some had come up from Nelson, and that's in the South Island. So anyway, I thought 3,000 wasn't a very large number, considering it's the entire island, supposedly, and international visitors. Anyway, so on the Saturday, the weather forecast had been pretty revolting. However, it turned out to be quite a good day, but I didn't have my sign ready to display in the morning. But in the afternoon, it was all ready to go, because I went to the local junk shop, which happens to be just like a 5-minute walk from my daughter's place again, and bought some very cheap used core flute board and painted up a sign saying jwsforjustice.co.nz, because we really want to feature this website. That's a fairly new website in New Zealand, because we have the Royal Commission into the historical abuse of children in institutions here, which is kicking off at the end of this year, and or possibly getting into the proper hearings next year. And we want as many ex-JW child abuse survivors to come forward to be heard, if they choose to do so. So we've got to get the message out there somehow. So some fellow activists here have set up this website, which if you go to it, it just provides information on, you can leave your details where they can get back to you, or you can listen to a voice recorded message, and they'll be adding more and more information to that as time goes on. So I made this big sign, but it had to be in such a way that I could carry it, because I was going to have to walk there. I didn't have a car available to me on the Friday or Saturday. So I found a reasonably good place where I could stand under an underpass. Not that I needed to be sheltered from the rain that day, because it was fine, but it's a good spot to remember in future, because there's very little, there's probably nowhere else actually that I could do a protest in the rain without getting wet. So, and plus it was where I had my signs was directly opposite the road where they would come out of after leaving the convention. Mind you, there were three ways out of the convention, so it would be good if next time, if any would like to join me, because it's pretty easy and not, you can hide behind the sign. You're not saying anything, so it's an easy way to protest. If we could get someone at each intersection would be great. But anyway, I'd say a third to a half of them leaving came past me at this intersection and were forced to stop on the yellow line at the intersection, and traffic was queuing a bit, and plus there was a pedestrian crossing with lights as well, so people were at times they had to stop, so that would have given them opportunity to look at my signs. The next day, on the Sunday afternoon, I spent the day with my daughter and her boyfriend and had a lovely time. And then they joined me in the afternoon after the sessions had ended at 3:30, and I had their car this time, so we put my sign on their car, and I had my other signs out at a different intersection, where again we probably got about half of the people exiting the convention coming past us. There was I suppose he was a brother directing traffic in his high-vis vest. There were a few of them around directing traffic, but it might have been an employee of the stadium itself. But my daughter did notice that when he was around at the intersection just in front of us, that people tended not to look, but when he moved off, they were all looking. So people were interested to see what the signs said, and there were actually some friendly waves and smiles as well, which was quite nice. And my daughter said that one woman went past and she could see that she was reading it aloud, she could see her lips moving, and she pointed to the sign so her daughter could see it. So so that's good. I really hope that some are prompted to investigate further, perhaps those who are students, or no doubt there would have been a lot of PMOs present as well who are more than happy to see us there. So all in all, that went as well as could be expected. And for next time I go and visit, those signs are sitting in their garage, so I'll get them out again. So anyway, a few cars have driven past me today. So far I've seen it. Hopefully they've seen. I've just got to check the sign's not flapping around. Seems to be okay. I've actually tied some dumbbells to the bottom of it to just sort of anchor it a bit so it doesn't flap around in front of traffic, because I would hate to cause an accident. I can hear it flapping because the breeze is getting up a bit, but it's still down. Anyway, something else I was going to talk about, and hopefully I don't run out of time on my phone here. Recently I reached out to a man who has been affected by JW.org. His mum was a witness, and he had studied on and off for a long time, and his mum recently died, and I know he was talking to me about the last year or two. The relationship had kind of gone downhill a bit since he had told her that he didn't really want to pursue becoming a Jehovah's Witness anymore. So it was rather sad, that things had to go that way, and then now he's lost his mum. So as someone who has been hurt by the practices of the organisation, I reached out to him and invited him to one of our meetups here. And I was kind of a bit surprised and a little hurt by the response that he gave me. It's probably one of the things that really gets to me most is when people accuse me of being hateful because of what I do. And when I invited him to the meetup, he basically, this is on Messenger, we had a discussion. He asked, well, what do you talk about? And I said, we just talk about our lives, what we're up to, what we're doing, how we're getting on, how being associated with Jehovah's Witnesses has affected our lives. And he kept probing me for, like, what else do you talk about? And I said, sometimes we do talk about what's happening in the organisation at the moment, like the child sexual abuse things that are going on, and the governing body being sued over in America. And then he says, at one point he said, so it's not a hate group then. And I was kind of taken aback, when he said that. And then he went on to say that he would rather treat people the way he likes to be treated, and politely declined my invitation to come to the meetup. And it really bothers me when people think that we're being hateful. I mean, what I'm trying to do with my activism, I want to end hate. I want to, as far as I can see, the practice of shunning and breaking up a family just because someone no longer goes along with these men or the governing body that direct the organisation. They call it hateful when I bring up that is in fact the hateful behaviour. It's not hateful to bring up and expose injustices, and that's what it is. It's very unjust. So I find it hurtful because I'm not a hateful person, and anyone who knew me as a witness, they would not have thought of me as a hateful person. I'm still not a hateful person. I am angry at the organisation. I'm angry at the leadership of the organisation who have the power to change things, and I know that Jehovah's Witnesses will just swallow whatever they say, hook, line and sinker. They'll just go along with it because they believe that they are being directed by God in some miraculous means. I'm not quite sure how they're any more directed than anyone else who reads the Bible, but anyway, they have the power to improve things, and they know full well the suffering and injustices that go on in this organisation. So yeah, I am angry about that, but I think I'm rightfully angry, and I think anyone who's not concerned about that, there's something wrong with them. So yeah, I do find it hurtful, yeah, when people say that it's hateful. And when we have our meetups with ex-witnesses, we're not there to hate on the witnesses, we're there to support each other, you know, because we are the victims of injustice, especially if you've been separated from family members because of your beliefs or your lifestyle. So we need to be supportive to each other. We need to have people to vent to that can understand us, because when you're disfellowshipped and you're removed essentially from your family, if they're witnesses, you lose your support network. You lose association. You lose friends, people just to hang out with and socialise with. So we need to get together. And to accuse us of being a hate group, I think it's very sad. If anyone's hating, it's the witnesses, but they don't see it that way, unfortunately. That's why I do what I do. I'm trying to make them see that, hey, it's not loving what they do. No normal person would think that by ostracising and shunning someone is loving. And it really is. I've talked about this before. It's counterproductive, because if you shun someone, where eventually are they going to go to get association and companionship, comfort? They'll probably go online. They will meet up with other ex-witnesses there. They'll probably find out lots of things about the organisation that cause them to doubt the claims of the organisation and no longer want to have anything to do with it. So there's no chance of them going back and restoring relationships with their family. So, unfortunately, some of them who perhaps don't find that kind of friendship and support online, they may turn to the wrong crowds and get even further into trouble than they might have already been. Some get involved in drugs, drinking too much, promiscuous behaviour, some of the young people. And how is that helping? That's so counterproductive, isn't it? If the whole idea of shunning is to bring them back to Jehovah. So it can leave them in a worse state. For a lot of them, maybe those who have been born in and are very indoctrinated. But it's a very sad state of affairs. Anyway, I think I'll stop here because it's coming up to 20 minutes. I don't think I've got much more time left. And I'll go home after this. I'll sit here for another half an hour, I suppose, and go home, have lunch, and hopefully I will get some visitors to my little shop. I don't know though. Anyway, I'll talk to you again soon. Bye.